Well, I'm sure you guys remember the beans that we no-till planted into the green grass this spring. This is the last field that we planted, and it's going to be the last field of beans we're going to harvest this year. Look at all of those leaves. Look at that moisture. Well, here we go. Bean harvest is over. Now we just got to get all this equipment back home. Let's go. Well, I made it home safe and sound. Got the corn head put back on, and we'll go back to corn tomorrow. Well, as you can see right there, we're back to combining corn. Now, normally you wouldn't see the combine just sitting there while we're loading the semi. Normally it would be off in the field combining corn. But today is the day that Iowa State is playing Oklahoma State in Ames, and everybody else is down there at the game. My wife is loading the semi right now. What we've been doing is combining until the semi is full and the grain cart is full. Then we shut the combine down and haul 2 loads of corn back home, come back and start the whole process over again. Let's see if we can impress the wife with the jig brake. Well, we got the trucking done, so we got an empty grain cart and an empty semi, so it's time to fill the semi, fill the grain cart, and then go back to trucking. Whoa, dusty.
Across the 15 to the 17, where he is hit hard by Harper. It's right on, we've seen it in the past.
So sometimes you're combining along and you think to yourself, man, what a mess. Who in the world planted this thing? I mean, look at that. What's going on here? And then you realize, oh yeah, it was me. What are you gonna do? Well, this is not the most efficient way to do things, but we're gonna get it done. Back for the last load, hopefully. I think there's just about exactly 1 semi load left to combine. Then we just gotta get the equipment home and put in the shed, get ready for the rain. Well, I'm almost 100% sure that I've only got 1 pass left, right over there. Given the fact that we're finishing this farm in the dark and the way this farm is laid out, it's always a good idea to zoom out, take a good look at the map, and make sure you've got it all filled in. Yep, looks like we're good. Whew, she's a little chilly today. It's not raining today, but it is too wet to get in the field, and our tractor is done. So we're gonna jump in the truck, go down to the John Deere store, get the 8285R back. So I know I should be excited that the tractor's done, but I kind of can't help but stare at that tractor a little bit and wonder if I should just take it home instead. Well, we got lucky because they were able to do this without taking the cab off. They only had to take the wheels off the one side, and I'm not sure. I kind of don't think that's where that thing is supposed to be. But anyway, I'm not actually sure which side they had to take off. Looking at it, I think it was probably this side. Flip the camera around and get in here. I mean, man, you can just see how clean everything is under the cab. There's no stalks. So that's one thing. At least they didn't have to take the cab off. That would have been a really expensive repair. I'm sure it's not going to be cheap anyway. Well, remember how I said it was going to be too wet to get in the field today? Yeah, it's, I guess we're in the field anyway. It's not perfect, but it's working. So while I'm sitting here taking a dump, I thought I'd answer some of your most common questions from the last video and comments. A lot of you guys had ideas and advice and questions about how we were trying to harvest that corn that was blown down. A lot of people suggested that we should combine it at an angle to the rows, so like the rows are going this way, and try combining it at a 30-degree angle across the rows. The reason we didn't do that is because there's two reasons. Had it been one hybrid and it was all laid flat uniformly, we might have tried something like that, but every 16 rows was down and the next 16 rows was not down because they were two different hybrids. And if you combine at a goofy angle across corn that's actually standing well, you're going to knock down a percentage of that corn as you're trying to get it to feed into the corn head. The second reason we didn't try combining at an angle was because that field is actually shaped as a contour. It's not straight rows, it's curved all the way 90 degrees around from one direction to the other. So you start out heading east and you end up heading north when you get to the other end of it. And then you turn around and head south and you end up headed west when you get back where you started. So given that we had combined 2 or 3 times all the way around that whole contour, because the corn was blown down straight to the northwest, so as we followed that contour around, we had already attempted every possible angle that you could conceivably try to combine that corn at, and none of them worked as you would normally expect. Normally when the corn is laying down this way, you would expect to be able to try to come at it this way and try to stand it up as you're bringing it into the corn head. But that was not working because the roots were just so small and so destroyed that as soon as we made contact with it, instead of standing it up, it just scooped it right up on top of the head. That's where a corn head reel would come into play. One of those gangly looking things that sits up on top of the corn head and rotates and tries to drag all the loose material into the corn head. That would have actually done us quite a bit of good, but the reason we didn't go after one of those, we really only had about 50 acres of corn that was down really bad, and that was just that one hybrid. It would not have been worth it to go out and spend $3,000 and then put that thing on the head to try to do that small amount of down corn. If we absolutely couldn't get it harvested, we were going to talk to one of our neighbors that already had a corn head reel on their machine and either trade heads for a day when they were combining some corn that wasn't down, or see if we could get them to come over and custom harvest the corn that was down really bad. It would not have made sense for us to go out and get our own corn head reel installed on our combine just for that 50 acres. But I can tell that you guys are on top of your farming game. You guys have been paying attention. Specifically, I know that you've been noticing what Zach Johnson has been doing, combining at an angle. You've been noticing that I just made a giant pile because I was busy talking to you instead of paying attention. Oh well, I got a broom. It'll be all right. Anyway, hope that helps. I hope you understand why we did it the way we did it. Also, a lot of people ask me how that down corn turned out yield-wise. You're not going to believe this. I didn't believe it. The down corn was actually 16 bushels to the acre better than the corn that didn't fall down right next to it. I thought that was crazy as well. Now you might say, well, Carl, don't whine about the corn being down if it was 16 bushels better. Yeah, that's great, but first of all, we almost couldn't harvest it. Secondly, that corn had a ton of dirt in it. There was dirt coming out of the dryer all the time. The air system that blows the corn from the dryer out to the bin wasn't working properly because all the dirt in the corn. It was just a total nightmare. Well, guys, I've got some bad news I need to share with you. Unfortunately, this week we lost our good friend Bob. He passed away unexpectedly at the ripe old age of I don't know what. He just wandered in, and he has been wandering in and out of our place for probably, shoot, he's been part of the team for at least 5 years, I think. No idea how old he was. Nobody knows where he came from. If you've been watching a while, you know that Bob would just come and go as he pleased. He'd usually be around the farm every day, but sometimes, once in a while, we wouldn't see him for a week at a time, and then he'd be back. Heck of a mouser and a really good friend. Some of you guys are probably going to miss him too. He's kind of become a regular part of the YouTube channel and the Instagram feed here. So, it's a bummer. It is what it is. So, I think I'll close out today's video with an ode to Bob. Thanks for all the years of service and friendship, Bob. We're going to miss you. A lot of other folks are too. This may be the most spoiled farm cat in the history of spoiled farm cats. He rides around on my shoulder like a parrot. Having fun, Bob?